So we've been covering, obviously, all of the workings here in D.C. on both sides. What is Mitch McConnell doing? What's Chuck Schumer doing? Nancy Pelosi, Maxine Waters put down a good proposal. Bernie Sanders has been hosting fireside chats, roundtables. Lots of people at least trying, even in often very flawed ways, to have their voices heard and shape the response to this crisis right now. But there's one name that has been conspicuously absent, and that is the presumptive Democratic nominee, Joe Biden.
Yeah, where is he? He hasn't come out with anything. He hasn't come out with new proposals. He called on Trump to invoke the Defense Production Act. 9 minutes later, Trump invoked the Defense Production Act.
And that's it. That's all we've heard.
That's the last time I heard from Joe. What's he doing? Where's his leadership? Where's his this? And this is actually what I was saying, where I thought that he would benefit from this crisis, because I thought he would learn the lesson from 2008 with Barack Obama, where Obama came to Washington, coordinated the response. He looked really presidential. It was this big show of like, okay, this guy could lead the country through the financial crisis. Joe is nowhere. I mean, he should be holding daily press conferences and acting like a president if he actually wants to be the leader through a crisis like this. There's been no economic stimulus reception. He hasn't put out his plan. All he's come out was the same mealy-mouthed, like paid sick leave and loans or whatever. You know, nothing really meeting the moment. I mean, this is a time where he could significantly outflank Trump and the corporate Democratic leadership if he wanted, try and poise himself as the next FDR, but he can't do that, can he, right? Because
apparently
what do we have? We have Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, who are the ones who are on his team already, and all these former Obama administration economists who are the ones who got us into this mess in the first place.
Yes, very true. And so it is remarkable, though, because you would think he would at least engage in like the cosplaying of Commander-in-Chief. Like we saw that a little bit leading up into the primaries. We saw, on the debate stage, there was a lot of like, I know who these people are and I know what to do, and the Ebola response, et cetera. Since then, basically nothing. And so, the proposals that are coming out of the Trump administration right now, and even from the Senate Republicans, which their thing has been laughably pathetic, have been more robust and more responsive to the needs of workers than anything we've heard from Joe Biden right now. And by the way, look, I think most people are primarily concerned with the public health situation, the economic crisis.
And they should be.
Et cetera, as they obviously should be. But Democrats were kind of licking their chops, thinking that, this means the economy is going to be bad and it's going to spell doom for Trump's reelection. It certainly puts it on shakier ground. But we're seeing numbers now.
Yeah, poll came out today, USA Today. Trump approval rating of the crisis is 55% to 44%, has gone up by 10. Those numbers have switched since last week, since he changed his tune significantly. Let me tell you something. There's one thing that Donald Trump looks at very closely, and it's his poll numbers. So if he sees the increase in that, you can only guarantee he's going to ramp up the proper types of response that the country always looks to its president in a time of crisis. And then it's on the president in order to either use that political capital for good, like FDR and many others did, or for bad, like George W. Bush did. Trump is at that point, and I think he's one of those people, like what we talk about. Sometimes it's good to make doing the right thing the craven choice, because that means we all benefit. People are self-interested, especially politicians. Forcing them into that lane is important, and somehow Joe Biden isn't getting the memo. He should be out there doing his teleprompter press conference, not even press conference, teleprompter crisis speeches every day. Get on the minds of the American people.
Legitimately part of the problem is, remember they did that town hall?
Yes.
That was such a technological disaster where he spoke into a phone like this, and then he wandered off camera, and then the audio was terrible. A basic thing. Right. How many boomers on Facebook are able to post a live stream?
All you have to do is this, people. It ain't that hard.
And so they actually had to postpone some of their planned events because they couldn't get the technological situation under control. So that's part of it.
Yeah, these people are going to run the response.
But if you think that this is just all going to fall into Joe Biden's lap and that this is going to be easy, you've got another thing coming. The bar has been significantly elevated. It's no longer good enough to just be like, I'm going to get things back to normal. It's no longer good enough to be like, I have some personal affection for him because of the life that he's led and his grief and the way that he talks about that and genuinely connects with people. That's no longer enough. Now you need a president that you can see leading us through a war. right? Now you need a president who exudes confidence and competence and is going to have the right people around him that will be able to make the decisions that will set us up not only to get out of this crisis, but to build more durable society and economy that's more fair, frankly, for everyone coming out of this. And so if he thinks he can just sit back and watch this all unfold and we're just going to hand him the keys to the car, not happening.
Ain't gonna happen, Joe. And the poll numbers reflect that. Your lack of energy and your lack of ability to show vigor in this situation matters a lot. Trump's approval ratings are going up, and you know what we've always heard about Joe Biden? You've heard this too. He's kind of lazy. Doesn't actually like to work that hard. Didn't like to do a lot of events. Didn't like to do a lot of campaigns. Didn't work hard for it in the early beginning of this race. Felt very entitled. Somehow he stumbled his way into becoming the presumptive Democratic nominee.
Who was it that said it was an accident of history?
Yeah, it is an accident.
Yeah.
I don't remember who said that, but it's a total accident.
Totally true.
And
it was Don Calloway.
Yeah, probably. He's not rising to the moment, and that's how you lose an election. So.
Indeed. All right, we'll have more Rising for you after this.